get it. Sometimes you want to watch Clue and your partner wants to watch Groundhog's Day. So in that case, why not try reading this book? I mean, I guess it's not really the same as watching a movie, but what is a novel if not a movie for the mind? Hello my friends, my name is AJ and welcome back to my book nook. Today we are going to be talking about this novel, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So this is a novel that came out in 2018, but I'm just getting to reading it right now, and it's something that I've been waiting a while to read. I first saw it back when it came out in a store, and I saw it under the title The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And the interesting thing about that is that the book was actually released around the same time as a book called The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And to avoid confusion in the United States, the book was instead released in the United States with the title of The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle rather than The 7 Deaths. And ironically enough, that was what really drew me to it, because I saw the 7.5 deaths and I was like, how can you have half a death? Well, I guess how can you have more than one? But you know what? Doesn't really matter. I honestly think 7.5 would have been a more interesting title, and I think it works better. I think it intrigues you better. But once again, maybe that's just me being confused over how you can have half a death, but fully accepting that you can have more than one. So this is a book that, as I've suggested at the beginning, is a combination of Clue and Groundhog's Day. It is written by Stuart Turton, who is a British journalist, and this was his debut novel. He had his second novel come out in 2020. The story follows a character by the name of Aidan, who every day wakes up in the body of a different guest at this house party of the Hardcastles. That night, the daughter of the Hardcastles, Evelyn, will be murdered, and he has to try and figure out how she dies, who the murderer is, in order to break himself out of this loop that he's going through every single day. I didn't actually know much about this book going into it. I knew that it was kind of that stuck in the same day, looping over and over again, and I knew that it was a murder mystery, and so I was very excited to dive into it. But that's really all I knew, and I'm really glad that that's all I knew, honestly, because there's a lot of twists and turns, and I'm really happy that that's it. That's all I knew about. Another interesting fact about this before we dive in is that this book is actually going to be adapted into a Netflix series. Yep, that's right. In December of 2020, it was announced that the book would have a Netflix adaptation, and I'm very excited for that, because as soon as I finished reading this, I thought to myself, they really need to make this into a movie or something, and I was very excited to see that they already are. Before we dive into the review, I do want to give you a bit of a trigger warning for this book. There is some mentions of past sexual assault. There is not any scenes of it in the book at all, but there is discussion of things that have been committed prior to the book taking place. If that is something that makes you uncomfortable, I would stay away from this book if I were you. There are tons of other great mysteries that you can dive into as well, and just whatever you need to do to keep yourself happy and healthy. But if that's something that you think that you can get past to read this book, I think you should definitely give it a read. So let's dive right in. As always, with all of my reviews, there will be a general review at the beginning, and I will have a section with some of my spoiler-filled opinions, so I will leave a timestamp down below for when that happens, so if you want to skip past it, you will have plenty of warning and not have it spoiled for you. Alright, let's dive right into it. So one of the great things about this book is that it's very quick to read. The chapters are fairly short, they're divided up really well, and then each kind of section is divided up by which day he is on. There's only actually 8 days. He does have a bit of a time limit to solve this murder. We'll dive into that in a second. But because of that, it made it really easy to read. I'm someone who gets distracted very easily. I'm someone who sometimes can take a while to get my mind into something. So having these shorter chapters made it a lot easier for me to dive into it and keep my focus. And on top of that, I'm not someone who likes to stop in the middle of a chapter, so it made it really easy that if I needed to take a break or if I was doing something else at the time, I could just stop, get going, and then pick it right back up again and quickly get back into it. It also wasn't super hard to keep track of what was going on. At least I didn't find it super hard to keep track of. Obviously, as I've said, there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of different people that he inhabits throughout his time going through this day, but I didn't find it too difficult to keep track of. You spend enough time with each of the characters that he's inhabiting that you start to get familiar with them, and it doesn't make it too difficult to understand who is who. They all have their own personalities that he starts to take on aspects of them, and they all have their own different strengths that he starts to take on, and I think that that actually worked really, really well. I just found it was really well organized and easy to understand, which I really appreciated because it could have been very convoluted and confusing, but it went really well. Having said that, there are so many twists in this book. You think that you've solved it, you think that you've seen the answer, but no, there's still 50 pages left in the book. There's so much more going on. It's crazy. I absolutely love it. I love how layer on top of layer keeps going. Each person that he inhabits has different connections which reveal more to him each time. It's absolutely wonderful, and it keeps you entertained, it keeps you engaged, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat and seated with panic because there is this urgency to it. As I mentioned earlier, there is only 8 days, and this book is a lot more structured than I thought it was. I thought it would be something like Groundhog's Day, where he doesn't really know how he got stuck in this. There's maybe some sort of mythical way that he's been stuck in this loop, but it's never really explained. That's not the case at all. It's definitely more structured than I thought. It's revealed that he has 2 competitors who are also trying to solve the murder, and whoever solves it first is the one who gets to leave this loop and the others are stuck there. One of them is this character called the Footman, who is trying to kill all of his hosts, so he has to avoid that as well, and it really gives us the sense of urgency. It gives it a sense of panic. He's only got 8 days, and not only has he only got 8 days, he also has other people who are competing with him. It's absolutely wonderful, and it's just such a great, unique idea. You know, I absolutely love the fact that not only is he just stuck in maybe the same body and he's collecting this information, but he's going to different bodies. He's getting different strengths, different weaknesses, and everything like that. And it's just super, super interesting. One thing that I will say is that none of the characters in this book are good people. I don't consider that a spoiler because you figure that out pretty quickly. Aiden himself is not really a good person. All of his hosts have these dark secrets and they're not very great people. All the side characters who he doesn't inhabit are bad people. There's not a single good person in this book. I feel like you need to know that when you're going into this, because if you're going into this expecting to have some sort of detective hero that you can really feel for and you can really sympathize with, you're not gonna get that, because he takes on the personalities of each of the hosts that he gets. He takes on the personalities and the strengths of each of the hosts that he inhabits, sort of like Doctor Who, where it's a different body and also a different personality each time. It's the same thing with this, and in that sense, you cannot go into this expecting to like characters. You have to go into it expecting them to be unlikable. But that in itself can be a valuable trait. Sometimes a character who is well written is also very unlikable. If it's not because they're written frustratingly, if it's because they're written well, just in a frustrating person, then you know that it's a well-written character. Some of the things that I wasn't exactly a fan of, we're introduced to this character a little bit later on. I'm not gonna say her name or anything, but all you need to know is that you're introduced to her, you think she's gonna play a big part, you think that she's gonna cause trouble, and then you never see her again. She's in one chapter and then you never see her again, and it seems really, really pointless to me that everything was kind of boiled up to this, and there's reveal of this person, and you think, oh, this is gonna explain so much, this is gonna be this big thing, now we've got another person we have to look out for, and then we never hear from this person again. Also, the ending explanation was a little bit vague to me. Maybe this is just me being thick, but the very last twist, when everything has finally been revealed, obviously this means in a mystery that it's time for have everything explained. I didn't understand why the murder happened, if I'm being fully honest. There was a big explanation of the how, but the why was kind of glossed over. It was glossed over as this, oh yeah, I was trying to cover this up, so I had to kill this person. It's like, well, that doesn't No. It's just very frustrating to me because I didn't find that the why was explained very well, because I would think that trying to cover something up and leaping to death would be kind of a big jump, but obviously not. I didn't feel like it was explained very well, and I would have liked it to have a better explanation. I get how it happened, but I want to know why it happened. Alright, that's it for my non-spoiler opinions. If you are interested in hearing some of my spoiler opinions, you can stick around. If not, if you haven't read the book and you want to jump over these parts, I highly suggest you should. I've left some timestamps down below, and that way you can protect yourself from having any more spoilers about this book. Hello, my spoiler friends. Let's dive right into it. One of the big things I loved about this book is how it completely took this big Black Mirror-ish twist. You know, that very big twist of this is a prison inside your own mind. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. It completely gave me Black Mirror vibes. It completely gave me this very sci-fi, oh, this takes place in the future thing. It was phenomenal. I loved it. It was so good. Nothing about reviews, nothing about anything gave me any sort of indication that that's what was happening. I couldn't imagine that the biggest mystery of the book would be figuring out how he got in this situation in the first place. A lot of times when you have those Groundhog's Day style things, they don't look into the how it's happening, they're just trying to figure out how to get out. I thought that the twists, the constant twists, many layers of Thomas Hardcastle's death was awesome. I absolutely loved how you thought you had figured it out, you thought you knew what happened, and it was just kind of something you brushed off because you're like, oh, this person did it. But then it's revealed, oh no, they were covering for someone else. And then it's revealed, oh no, they were covering for someone else. It was phenomenal. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Except, like I said, the finale, I didn't feel like there was a bit of an explanation enough of why it happened. Like, it's never explained why she's suddenly this insane person. That's never explained. Obviously, I feel like there would be something else that would lead up to that, but I was a bit disappointed by that. But up to that point, I thought that the mystery surrounding Thomas was so good and so well done. I also just wish that the mystery surrounding Anna was explained a little bit more. Obviously, we know that Anna has brought the footmen to go kill some of Aiden's other hosts, but we don't really get an explanation other than, oh, I was forced to. But I mean, come on, really? I also didn't really understand the decision for him to forgive Anna after finding out what she had done. I mean, he went in there to make her life worse. And I understand that. And then he kind of comes to terms with it and it's like, well, I don't need to do anything because I've really just made my own life worse. And I think it would have made more sense for him to just accept that and be able to move on with his life and not even give her another thought. No, but instead he kind of chooses to accept her and forgive her for what she's done. Which, you know, is a nice sentiment, but I don't think it's very realistic. I don't know, it felt weird. Like I said, no one is a good character in this book, and I think that that really works with the story, and it does really help to the Black Mirror vibe of it. But it just felt like Anna was a character we didn't get to elaborate more on. It felt like a very shallow ending, honestly. I would have preferred something a little bit darker. Maybe he does leave her behind, maybe he does actually betray her. I think that that would have made a lot more sense. Welcome back, my non-spoiler people. So what are my final thoughts? Overall, I thought that this book was really good. It was very unique and it was very crazy on the twist. Holy cow. It was so exciting. It really kept me on my seat and it had a real sense of urgency and panic to it that I think that a lot of novels kind of miss out on. I thought it was really cool that he took on the personalities of his different hosts, and those were things that either hindered or helped him on his journey, and that you really couldn't trust anyone that he talked to. It added a real sense of darkness and excitement to it, and I thought that that was very well done and very well written. Overall, I think that if you can get past the trigger warnings, that you should for sure give this book a read, especially if you're into that sort of Agatha Christie style stories where there's clues in absolutely every chapter. For sure give it a chance, for sure give it a read. I would personally give it 4.5 Death of Evelyn Hardcastle out of 5. That's it for me today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button and stick around. But tell me, have you read this book before and did you like it? Do you have the same opinions as me on it? Or have you not read this book and this made you want to? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation with all of you, but let's try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible so that everyone can participate in the conversation. But that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see all of you lovely people in the next video. Bye!